Hi, my name is Steve Cazella. I'm one of the partners here at Tower Genius LLC. We are the nation's premier cell site lease coaching consulting firm. We help property owners, we help existing cell site landlords, and we can also help your attorney if they have any questions about a cell tower lease offer or proposal that you've received, either a new cell site, existing cell site renewal, or if you're selling your lease, like in a 1031 exchange, you need questions. You have questions about a cell tower lease buyout, things like that. We can add significant value and help you make sure you're not getting taken advantage of and get a great deal. So that's my pitch in the front of the video. So let's talk about rural cell tower lease rates and what you can expect if somebody knocks on your door for the first time. You're out, you have a rural property. You're typically going to be dealing with a real estate site acquisition representative who is working for a tower company, usually not for the carrier. The carriers have gotten away from owning towers, so they'll, even if they're developing a site, let's say AT&T needs a tower, they'll hire a company like, I don't know, like Vertex, or they'll hire a company like Vertical Bridge or Tillman Infrastructure. There's a lot of these tower companies out there that will develop the sites, and maybe there's a company like ABC, Bob's Tower Company of whatever state, and they might build 5 or 10 towers in a rural area, and they're clearly going to try to get the best possible provisions in there and make it as marketable, as sellable. So they don't want to have a lot of changes in that agreement, and they're going to take those sites in that portfolio, package them up, and sell them to an American Tower or a Vertical Bridge or Phoenix Tower, one of these companies. So you can expect, when you're dealing with a site acquisition representative representing a tower developer, you're probably going to get offered anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month on a rural site. It's not the old days where I used to do site acquisition for Verizon, T-Mobile, OmniPoint, Sprint back in the New York market, pre 9/11 years ago, and we were working in primarily, I did a lot of stuff in the city, in the Bronx and places like that. We were on rooftops, but on wouldn't call them rural sites. I did have some rural sites that I worked on up in like the Dutchess County area up in Lower Hudson Valley, and still a lot of those values were north of $1,500 a month to $2,000 a month. When you're in a more suburban market, you would see rents over $2,000 a month for Verizon on a new tower. It was very customary to see that, because you're in an area with high property values. And once you move out to these more rural areas, and we've seen thousands of these sites over the past 14 years at our firm. So when you're out in a more rural area, these carriers are, again, they're using developers. So the developer is the one that spends $200,000 roughly to develop that tower once it's leased, and then Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T or Dish will become their tenant, and roughly pay them about $2,000 a month, a little bit less, maybe $1,900, maybe less than $1,500. Dish is locating on towers across the country now very aggressively. But you're not going to see those $2,000 a month rents on a rural area, because the economics just don't work out. So that's when they're offering you $500 or $600. Keep in mind that maybe AT&T is paying them $1,950 a month, something like that. So that they've also got to be able to pay down their loan. So that's where you get these types of rents. It's important to have somebody like our company review your site, because the values are still determined on a site-by-site basis, even if you're dealing with a developer, because you want to get that deal structured properly. And there's roughly 24 modifications that need to be in those agreements, and we know which ones are the real significant ones, which ones are the ones where it's okay to make some compromise, and which are the deal killers. And we've seen so many deals that get killed by very well-intentioned attorneys just that don't know that those are the types of terms that a carrier will walk away over, or a tower company will walk away over. And as a property owner, you really need to know what those terms are, and then you can decide, hey, how hard do I want to push them? What can I live with this provision, or can't I not live with this provision? At the end of the day, you don't want to encumber your property with a bad deal that you have to live with for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The other thing is, a lot of these companies, these tower development companies that are offering these rural cell site lease agreements, for $500 or $1,000 a month, they want a 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year deal. And, you want to make sure that you keep them on a very short leash. The truth is, they're going to try to find the path of least resistance. So if you push them too hard on certain areas, they will walk, and they will go to another site, and they'll find somebody that's willing to shoot themselves in the foot for $500 a month in terrible terms. And there's always people that need the money, and a lot of them look for those types of sites in these rural areas, unfortunately. So that's another thing that you're dealing with. You do have a lot of used car salesmen they'll give you a take it or leave it offer. It's very high pressure. But if you have a property, let's say you have a rural site that is 150 or 1,000 acres or 50 acres, and you feel like you have a really an advantageous property that from a tower development perspective. Maybe you're on a higher elevation, you have better access, maybe there's a fiber vault across the street or something. So if you have if there are certain qualities about that property that are better than the property across the street, and you feel like your site is better, well, then you probably have a better chance of getting them on your property. So I would say, if you've been approached by a cell tower developer, get a copy of the lease agreement or get a copy of that option lease agreement. Don't sign any term sheets. Let them know that you're interested, and see if they'll provide you with a survey or schedule them to walk the property. And the more time and money that they spend at your location, the more leverage you'll have to get a better cell tower lease rate on a rural property again. So if you have questions about a proposal, or if you have an existing site, you need to get it extended, you have questions about that, give us a holler. Tower Genius can be reached at 888-313-9750. Again, my name is Steve, and look forward to hearing from you.